Close to 10,000 expected at the D. Glenn Smith Spectrum. They're already making noise. Highlight non-conference, St. Mary's at Utah State. A couple of moments away from tip. For the lineups of this game, St. Mary's. We talked about their guards right at the top. Tommy Kuzi, Logan Johnson. The forwards, Alex Dukas and Kyle Bowen. Matthias Toss, man in the middle. Utah State, they have 3 transfers and then 2 mainstays. The 2 mainstays, Brock Miller, Justin Bean. Been a part of Utah State for a handful of years and put up huge numbers this season for the Aggies. Series history, St. Mary's has won 4 of the last 6. Though Utah State still has some lead. These teams haven't met, though, in Logan since the 2012-2013 season. Utah State, a rare game where they wear the black jerseys and the crowd playing a part as well, wearing a lot of black. St. Mary's in the white. Underway from the D. Glenn Smith Spectrum with Utah State on the first possession. Aggies 6-1 on the year. They dropped their opener and have won the last 6. Justin Bean getting the horn. By Ryland Jones to Bean. They know one another. Justin Bean, 22.5 points per game as the clock is still frozen with 19:49 on it. And we played a little bit more than just 11 seconds. Bean averages 22 points, as you said, and 13 rebounds. He's tied for 4th in scoring in the country, and he's tied for 3rd in rebounding in the country. He's only 6'7", and he started his career as a walk-on. And it was just a couple of years ago, as you see Ryan Odom there, who was the head coach of Utah State first year after leading the way for 5 seasons with UMBC, helping Justin Bean continue to take that star leap in the Mountain West this year. Well, if you don't recognize the UMBC, they are the only 16 seed who beat a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament, and that man in your screen was the one who made that happen. Ryan Odom, 5 years at University of Maryland, Baltimore County. And then for St. Mary's, Randy Bennett. So you have a first year on the Utah State side. And for St. Mary's, one of the longest tenure coaches in the country, over 400 wins. 21st season as the head coach at St. Mary's. He knows a lot about college basketball, and he especially knows a lot about how the West Coast Conference has developed. Before the game, I was asking him if this is the best year that he's seen. He wouldn't commit to that, but he said it's really, really good. Clock stops. So now they go to the little watch on the hands and see what they can do about getting it done correctly. Ryland Jones, who made that behind the back pass, was kind of nifty. That guy went to the University of Utah first. His dad was an assistant coach here at Utah State back in when Stu Morrill was the head coach. He's a very, very solid point guard. His freshman year of high school was at Logan High School, so you mentioned familiar with the area. And he's been the table setter for Utah State so far this season, really helping the bigs Justin Bean and Brandon Horvath get their looks. Well, he leads them in assists. He's got 40 assists on the year, and he hasn't missed a free throw yet. So in endgame situations, when the point guard typically has the ball in his hands in close games, he's going to make free throws for you. Our officials, Randy McCall, Kevin Brill, D.G. Nelson. Busy early again, as you mentioned, Coach. You have to hand time this. It froze. Hey, time does freeze when Justin Bean touches the ball. Let's be real here. He's been that special this season. Well, these two teams, Utah State won the Myrtle Beach tournament. They beat Oklahoma in the finals, 73-70, and that guy right there had 22 points and 19, count them, 19 rebounds in that game. And then St. Mary's, you know, a lot of these tournaments, multi-team tournaments they're called, they did a great job at the Maui Invitational. They beat Notre Dame and Oregon, and they lost to Wisconsin in the final. Both teams can take a lot of positives from their preseason tournaments. All right, let's get into the keys to the game here as we have a minute to talk it over as they try to figure out the clock issue early on.
control the tempo. St. Mary's will do that by playing good defense and taking their time, getting a good shot, and limit Bean. They haven't done that so far. He scored the first basket. For Utah State, assist, assist, assist. 70% of their baskets come on assisted plays and defend the three-point line, especially when Fotu comes in the game. He's a terrific three-point shooter. And Alex Dukas, number 44 in the left-hand corner, is their best three-point shooter.
Mentioned Dan Fotu, leading scorer for St. Mary's, comes in off the bench. A team that's comfortable with the shot clock winding down. Motion offense, toss, double team, 5 to shoot. Has to take the tough hook. Leaves it short. Rebound pinballs and toss picks it up. Utah State wants a shot clock violation. Yeah. Did the ball hit the rim?
The ball did not hit the rim. It did hit the rim.
It looked like it hit the rim on that line drive awkward hook from the baseline.
Well, it was a pass. He was trying to pass the ball into the post. It wasn't a shot. Watch this now. Right-hand screen. Let's see if it hits. Yes, typically it does. The crowd is yelling, "Fix that clock." I love that.
There's already been a couple, one with the game clock just freezing, and now a matter of the shot clock here.
I'll tell you what, the crowds here at Utah State are always very, very good. As you mentioned, there's nearly 10,000 in here right now. And before the game begins, they have a cheer from the student section saying, "I believe that we will win. I believe that we will win." And about 5,000 kids screaming that at the same time is pretty impressive.
This really is a cozy environment, the D. Glenn Smith Spectrum. The unique touch, the fall-colored seating. You don't see too many of those seats, though, because a lot of bodies in those.
That's right.
Filling them up as the students are back after having their holiday break.
You know, St. Mary's from the West Coast Conference obviously has been the chief nemesis of Gonzaga over the years. Take a look at if the ball hits. It does. It hit the rim before it hit the player's hands. And Coach Bennett, of course, they go to the NCAA tournament quite a bit.
He's led them there 7 times. Postseason for 13 straight years. Playing the NIT and the NCAA tournament for St. Mary's team. Mentioned them always challenging Gonzaga. This year, preseason number 3 in a West Coast Conference that, you talk about some strong teams. Gonzaga, what they've done, BYU, despite their loss yesterday. Great start to the year, and even the teams, or preseason towards the middle, have had strong non-conferences.
Take a look at St. Mary's bench. That is Fotu right there, and that guy can really, really play. I talked to Coach Bennett. That is Fotu. He wears number 42. And I said, oddly, that rhymes with your name. He says, that's why I picked the number. I said, oh, man, that is cool.
That goes into the family business in a way, too. He has a bunch of siblings that play basketball. 4 of them. One of them was a women's basketball player at Boise State. And it was a similar story. They asked, like, well, what number do you want? And she gave the number 42. 42 is a big number. You're a guard. Coach, Fotu. 4-2. Oh, okay. We'll give you 42.
Let's get started here, fellas.
All right, so they fixed the game clock, 19-12. They correct the shot clock at St. Mary's ball. The ball did hit the rim. We've been here for about 8 minutes of real time. We've played about 50 seconds of game time. See if we can get a flow here with Tabi Kuzi. Runs the show for St. Mary's. 6th-year former walk-on, carving his way inside. Floater is short, and Justin Beam, one of what will likely be many rebounds. In the backcourt, Horvath miscommunicates with the point guard. Rylan Jones was cutting towards the line, and instead the pass goes to the sideline.
Well, credit Logan Johnson right there. He denied the pass. You know, when he jumps in the passing lane, it's very difficult to make the pass from the top of the key to the wing, and that is what he does best. Defensively, he created that turnover. Let's look for Lucas right there, 44. Brock Miller is guarding him. He's got to stay close. You don't help so much when you're guarding a great three-point shooter.
St. Mary's surrounds their post player with the shooters. Dukas being one of them. You called it. That time it's off.
I'm surprised Brock Miller left the shooter to go double in the post. Miller is a great shooter himself. Logan Johnson has joined the assignment on him.
Utah State is a team 38% from three-point range this season, including the two starting bigs, over 50% from deep. The Utah transfer, Ryland Jones, shot clock at 6. RJ Idlerock powers his way inside, can't get it. And it's a rebound for Alex Dukas. Talked about pace and tempo being such a big part of this matchup. Three-pointer for Bowen off the back rim. Justin Bean, another board, and St. Mary's starts 0 for 4. First possession bucket for Justin Bean. Same baseline angle, and delivers another. All 4 points of this game scored by Justin Bean, the senior from Oklahoma, who was big in that win against Oklahoma for Utah State at the Myrtle Beach Invitational.
They got 5 on 4 right here.
Dukas gets the tough bucket inside, but late getting hit because you can only coach. And Bean takes advantage.
Dukas fell down under the hoop. Bean outran him. Solid defense by both teams so far. A lot of switching going on.
Johnson tries to take advantage. Feeds corner. Deep three by Kuzi. Back iron. High board. O-board for toss. Justin Bean reaches in on the dribble drive by Kuzi, and here comes Utah State. Miller is a sniper. Johnson closing out, prevented a 3 look. Bean will take it. Around and out. This crowd was ready to erupt. Utah State's won 6 in a row. St. Mary's started the season 6-0. Kuzi. Maggie hits the deck, no whistle. Open Johnson, a 3. Line drive, and a whistle on the board.
We have right now a flopping warning. The official on your left puts his palms up in the air and his hands down. This means that when there's another flop on the floor, that will be a technical foul, a Class B technical foul, which will be 1 shot. This is a flop. A person is faking taking the charge. And that's how the official saw Jones play right there. So anybody on Utah State's team who flops during the game, there'll be a technical foul call.
Big collision at the free throw line. Player hits the deck of Brandon Horvath. The crowd doesn't like the call.
Justin Bean is 25 years old. He's got lots of experience, and he's showing it early in a big game. A little shot from the baseline. Running the floor. 6-2, home team.
College basketball on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by Ford. Built Ford proud. And by AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, and secure.
Earlier this year, Utah State had a team event at a local driving range. Man, some of the team building activities that you need to do, especially you have so many newcomers, which is a story for Ryan Odom's team, first-year coach. And Mountain West has some impact transfers.
Well, UMBC in Utah, Ryland Jones and Horvath. And then, of course, on the other side of things, we've got Matt Bradley from California at San Diego State, Royce Ham Jr. at UNLV, and Jamal Mashburn Jr. from Minnesota. It's amazing to me, that there were 1,700 players who transferred through the transfer portal last year. And those players do not have to sit out. The rule used to be you'd have to sit out for a year if you were transferred. That no longer exists. So we have a little bit of free agency in Division I college basketball going on.
I know freedom of movement has been a rules term to allow the freedom of movement within the game, but also, you're right, freedom of movement from transfers. Justin Bean, all 6 for Utah State, 4-point lead. The Gales with possession, and Logan Johnson can't get the hook shot to fall. St. Mary's just 1 for their first 8 from the floor. Justin Bean. Horvath back to the basket. Cut off. Clock down to 8. Smooth move for Jones. Hits the ground hard. Verticality rule. Toss, no foul. Johnson is clipped and fouled. So Justin Bean guilty for the foul. And the Aggie crowd a bit upset. No foul on one end. Gets one on the opposite.
Straight up in the air. Easy block on the shorter player. And right here, a little bit of a knee by Justin Bean on that call. St. Mary's is not a team that uses the 3 a lot, except for 1 or 2 players. Right now, Dan Fotu is on the bench, and he's one of those 3-point shooters.
Johnson carving inside, has it poked loose. Iowa fights for it. Held ball. And the arrow keeps it here. Just keep it shoot.
I'm impressed with the defense of Utah State. When the ball is getting into the paint, they are double and tripling team. Now what we have here is 2 seconds on the shot clock. So the end line out of bounds play execution is important here. Maybe you look for the corner or maybe a lob at the rim. There's the corner.
Dukas, back rim. Jones scoops up the board. Dan Fotu on the last dead ball. Checks in for St. Mary's. Great cut by Bean. Jackson comes over and a foul.
Man, that's a guard going up. Terrific effort by Johnson. Watch this from the weak side. This is Bean at 6'7". Johnson comes over and gets a piece of it. Maybe he got a piece of his hand as well, and his body. I should stand corrected. So Bean will go to the free throw line, and he is a very, very good free throw shooter, shooting 88% on the year.
Picked up his 1,000th point last time out in the Utah State win against Carroll College. Justin Bean amongst the nation's best.
Well, he's tied for 5th in points, tied for 3rd in rebounds, 15th in field goal percentage, 6th in double-doubles. He's got 6 double-doubles. He's 2nd in the nation. What more do you want from a guy? He's awesome.
He's got all 7 for Utah State.
He's a great kid, too. Toss is back in.
Reversing sides of the court from one to another. Staple of this offense. Toss.
Dorius, 7-footer on toss.
Fotu. Tough runner. Brock Miller for the Aggies. Stephen Ashworth in off the Utah State bench. A sparky sophomore. Ashworth, quick trigger. Short. St. Mary's just 1 field goal so far. Kuzi, no look. Tipped by Dorius. And a foul down low. Matthias Toss. Call for the personal.
Right here they get stuck. The lob pass isn't high enough. And once Ashworth was laying on the floor, Toss just jumped right on top of him. That might be legal in Estonia where he's from, but it's not legal here in college basketball. He's really been a good player for them for a lot of years. 2 years he had a knee injury. It was really unfortunate. Energy level big in the building.
Jones pull up. Again for a rim, gets his own board, the Utah transfer.
2 small guards in the game for Utah State, Ashworth and Jones.
Ryan Jones slips through a defender. Bounce pass misses the target. Miller finds it. Air ball.
That's the second behind the back pass that Jones has made in the game.
Two really good passing point guards leading the way on each side.
Marshallonis, number 3 with the ball.
Knocked away, and it stays here as the post up attempt for toss.
Number 3 in white. If that name does not ring a bell to any of you, his dad is in the Hall of Fame. He was a great player in the NBA. And when Lithuania was part of the Soviet Union, his dad played on the team that beat the U.S., sort of beat the U.S., for the gold medal. This kid can really play.
Great footwork in traffic by Logan Johnson, and he cars through for the second made field goal for St. Mary's.
You know, something interesting on both of these teams in terms of the roster. St. Mary's has a lot of international players on their team. And Utah State has a lot of older players who have been on Mormon missions and come back, and they're 25 years old. Logan Johnson can play defense, Chris. He could guard you, and you wouldn't even be able to pick up one of those French fries.
I try, though.
Logan, scoring.
Action last night involving the West Coast Conference team. BYU went down to Utah Valley. Fargo has AMAC, 24 points, 22 boards. The Wolverines, Utah Valley stunned the 12th ranked Cougars, 72-65 in overtime. But the West Coast Conference has still had some pretty good non-conference results this year.
Well, BYU beat San Diego State. Gonzaga beats Texas. BYU beats Oregon badly. And St. Mary's, they beat Notre Dame and Oregon before losing to Wisconsin in 3 straight days. And of course, the Gonzaga-UCLA game was a great, great victory. But you would expect Gonzaga to be doing those kinds of things since they are so highly ranked. Very, very good year for the West Coast Conference. And talking to Coach Bennett beforehand, I asked him if this is the best it's ever been. He was reluctant to go there because he said, well, we're only 8 games in. I said, well, what about all these non-conference games? He says, well, those are very, very good. And I said, well, who made your schedule? You're at Utah State and you're at Colorado State on consecutive games. He said he had a moment where he wasn't thinking.
I have a feeling this could be the type of game they look back on in March. A couple of teams that might be fighting for at-large first. Ryland Jones ends an 0-for-5 drought for Utah State.
You're going to have some droughts when you play against St. Mary's. They are a team that plays great man-to-man defense. You want to rush it up the floor like Utah State likes to do and get a shot before the defense gets set. Because once they get set, they can guard you.
What about their defense makes it so tough to solve when it's set?
Well, they're just individually, they're very, very tough. They cut off penetration, and they help when necessary, and they're physical on the boards. And they've got a lot of experienced players.
Complete package.
They have almost everybody back from last year's team. And, of course, last year they were 14-10, which is not typically. They're usually much better than that. So someone said to me, well, if they have all those guys back, why would they, why would you think that they were going to be better? And I told them it's experience and confidence and getting a little bit more coaching. And clearly, they have begun the season very well.
Orius halfway down.
You would think a home rim would have allowed him to score that.
Didn't go. Instead, here's a roll for toss. Can't get it to stay down. Great tip of a board by Bean to get it to his experienced teammate in Brock Miller.
Solid defense by Utah State. We're talking a lot about St. Mary's defense, but they came from the weak side to help, and that forced the miss. Bean does not typically create shots on his own, but he does it. Take that, Coach Wenzel. What are you talking about?
I almost expected him to look over to the table.
He did look over. I was talking to him before the game. He plays the ukulele. And last year when I did a game with him, I said, can you play? I can hear it. And he did. And it was very, very neat. He sings also. It was Somewhere Over the Rainbow. I'm going to have you do that at halftime.
I mean, that nobody wants to see that.
I heard you can sing.
Nobody wants to see that or hear that.
Dorius has been in for quite a long time. I think Coach Odom figures that he can take care of Taz and limit his offense.
Jones up top. Dorius, mentioned him being in for a while. Gonna bring that one down. Marshallonis fires. Miller engulfs the board.
Engulfs. I'll tell you what, Miller is really an experienced guy. He's also 25 years old. He's going to be 25.
Bean races to the basket. Floats it over.
Fatigue is setting in here a little bit. Guys who haven't been out of the game, it's going to hurt them defensively a little.
Been free-flowing since that first minute that took about 8 minutes to play.
See, right now, Ryan Odom is holding his hand down and says, okay, he senses the tiredness also, and he wants to just set something up. Over on the bench, waiting to come in, are 6 players, 3 from each team, waiting to come in at the next dead ball.
Shooting percentages, perhaps reflecting some tired legs as well. Jones dribbles it off a shin, and it's St. Mary's basketball. So there you go. Those 6 players who are waiting to check in finally can give some breaks to the ones exhausted on the floor.
Brock Miller was in there a long time. Johnson also.
So Horvath. Battle Rock comes back in for Utah State. Alex Dukas taking over a wing spot for the Gales.
Hamoda is in, number 24. His D right there towards the turnover.
Z Hamoda.
Very nice, solid play by Z from Bahrain. Only player from Bahrain playing in Division I basketball. He's going to be good. Got good length. He's got to get in the weight room a little bit.
So he and his brother are watching Lakers games, and that's what got him attracted to basketball. He's wearing the number 24. That's no coincidence. Kobe's number. And here he goes. Hamoda to the rim. Off balance. Bean pulls in an oboe. Off balance. Doesn't matter. First 3 from either team. From Stephen Ashworth, and it's an 8-point Utah State lead. Defensive foul on Ashworth with that off arm.
The coach says no, 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 no. Yes, 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 yes. Ashworth, 14-6.
Tomorrow night, 7 Eastern, get ready for a gridiron showdown as Western Kentucky battles it out against UTSA for a chance to be this year's Conference USA champ right here on CBS Sports Network. And Western Kentucky always has that high-flying offense. Bailey Zapp leading the way with it. Almost 15,000 career passing yards. Another excellent season for Bailey Zapp.
Well, what we've seen so far in this game is tremendous defense on the part of Utah State. They are holding St. Mary's to 3 for 17 from the floor, and St. Mary's is 0 for 7 from deep. Justin Bean has been the scoring guy, and of course that's been pretty solid all year long. 44 is Dukas. He's their best 3-point shooter, and he's barely getting touches in this game. Great game planning by Ryan Odom, taking St. Mary's out of the things they like to do best.
6 points, 12.5 minutes of game time.
Here's the pressure. Notice the pressure on Dukas.
Trying to chisel his way inside. It does. Dukas has 4 points.
Yeah, nice play. They made him do something that he doesn't typically do. He's normally a 3-point shooter, but they're going to play him tight, and he's going to have to make a lot of plays like that one.
Tough catch for Horvath.
Yeah, that was a bad pass. Dukas backing his man in. Just shoots over him. He's going to try it again right here.
This time, the defender, Idle Rock, wins the battle and knocks it away.
Nice play by RJ. R.J. Idlerock is a transfer from UMBC. He brings a lot of grit to this team. He's not a guy who scores a whole bunch, but he really works hard at it. Physical presence out there.
Ian Horvath followed Ryan Odom from UMBC to Utah State.
You notice how Kuzi does not look for the jump shot much.
Oh!
How about that drive?
That basket seems to have a lid on it for St. Mary's. But a couple of free throws coming for Marshallonis.
That was a heck of a drive. He is very, very athletic. He's a right-handed player, uses the left hand, draws the foul. Notice how he went under to create that foul. I talked to Bennett before the game and asked him about Marshallonis. Of course, he hasn't been doing that much this year. And, of course, he's playing behind two very experienced guards. But Coach Bennett said that he is really going to be a good one, and he's going to be a good one this year. It's not going to take him a year. He's getting comfortable being in a new country, of course, playing NCAA basketball.
He's one of the top European recruits. Once again, the shot clock under 10. It's been that way on each side so far in this game. Tough off balance for Hamoda. That's great defense on the St. Mary's side.
It was physical, too. Bowen, I don't think, has taken a shot yet. He's a starter, and he's a pretty good three-point shooter, number 14. 14 and 44 on the left side here.
Bounce pass from Marshallonis through the hands of Saxon was deflected. Couple of substitutions on the Utah State side as the starting point guard Ryland Jones re-enters. Sean Bairstow, who missed the first 6 games of the year with the wrist injury, and he's playing for the second time this season.
Yeah, he's a good player. Brother was a star player at New Mexico. When I think about all the Australian players on these teams.
Shot clock late. Here's Kuzi. Has to get rid of it. Finds Marshallonis. In and out. Bean pulls it in. Ryland Jones. Nash is underneath, but knocked away by Kuzi, who says his favorite player is Steve Nash. Ahead of the pack, Mitchell Saxon, his first 2 of the game.
They don't often run out, but when the opportunity is there, they take it.
Coach, we're talking about the Australians both ways.
What makes me think of this is my son coaches professional basketball in China, and they have a rule you're only allowed to have 2 foreign players. We don't have that rule in the United States, clearly. The block by the small guy, 2 small guys underneath the basket, and Tommy doesn't even have to jump to block that one. And of course the run out, look one way, pass the other. Very, very nice. And on that play, Horvath did not want to foul. It's one of those plays where discretion is the better part of valor.
St. Mary's putting it together. Great steal by Logan Johnson.
Yeah, their defense is starting to be effective.
Saxon can't finish.
Aggies pushing it.
Quick first step.
Scored over 1,000 points in college. Not here at Utah State, obviously. This is his first year here.
986 at UMBC, being another reach at a timely possession to get a steal for Utah State. Last bucket ended what was a St. Mary's 6-0 run. Bairstow from deep, front rim.
Looks like Coach Odom has given a lot of guys the green light.
Johnson penetrates and uses his quick first step.
Very, very quick. You don't have to guard him at the three-point line because he's not going to shoot much from there. And they know that, and he beat his guy anyway.
Horvath follows through.
How about that pick and roll between Justin Bean and Horvath? Instead of the 1 and 5, it's the 4 and 5 making those plays.
And then an offensive foul called on St. Mary's.
Horvath is coming to the forefront in the last couple of minutes. 6'10", but only 210. He's got mobility, as you can see there. And of course, the catch with the left hand. Turnaround jumper. 18-14. We got a game.
Coming up on AT&T at the half, Brent Stover and John Rothstein are talking about new coaches in new places. And Bob, we'll take a look at 4 players for the Mountain West and West Coast Conference that he has his eye on early in the season. That's all coming up on AT&T at the half. And Bob, that's if you stop dancing. During the timeouts, you're just always moving and grooving.
How about the defense of Utah State? Take a look at this. The poke away, 2 guys dive on the floor. The hedge and the tip away on the floor again. 3 guys converge on the ball, force a turnover. And right here, help side defense by Brock Miller makes them miss, and they get the save. It's no wonder that Coach Bennett is 6 for 22 and 0 for 8 so far in this game. And you can see their numbers on the season are pretty darn good. So give Utah State plenty of credit for their D here.
Haven't made a three-pointer yet. That's a travel on Sean Bairstow. So what can St. Mary's do on the offensive end to get going here?
Well, you know, I mean, the inside-outside game is very, very important. And Toss has not had much of an opportunity today. And usually he's pretty good and pretty strong. The three-point shots have not been there at all. But that is just the credit for Utah State. They're switching. They're up on the shooters. They read the scouting report. The guys who don't shoot well. And look at that. That's another great example right there. I mean, 4 guys converged on the dribble drive into the paint. This is really, really remarkable to watch. Excellent D.
Horvath steps. So another turnover on Utah State.
I'm not sure he switched his pivot feet there. He faked one way and went the other. I think he faked out the official on that one. So we're seeing 2 teams right here, Chris, who are playing excellent defense, and that's why the score is only 18-14 at this point. But that kind of tempo favors St. Mary's, oddly enough. Utah State is in unfamiliar waters here. They're used to scoring 40 by halftime.
You mentioned before, game in the 60s favors St. Mary's. Utah State averages over 80 per game.
Right.
Throw 2, trying to get that space, and Miller preventing it. Step back, front rim.
That's a good example of Dukas being challenged by Horvath. 0 for 9 from 3-point range for St. Mary's. Fotu has been invisible in this game. These are 2 teams that really want to win. Utah State from the Mountain West, St. Mary's from the West Coast Conference. Both winning a lot this year already. 6-1 and 7-1.
Both have had a lot of recent success. Cut by Sean Bairstow.
That's how I passed you to hamburger today.
Through the back door, Ryland Jones with the feed. Team high 6 assists per game. Bowen a triple. Still, St. Mary's can't get the 3-ball to fall.
Great hustle. Bairstow, Jones is surveying.
Jones rising fire, in and out. Only 25% so far for St. Mary's.
We just saw 2 great closeouts on shooters.
Prevented Bowen from getting the 3 off. Another great active hands on the defense for Jones, diving out of bounds, and it's Utah State ball.
We're going to hear the crowd on this. Ryland Jones, move your feet, slap the ball. Maybe a foul, but look at that hustle. He's been on the floor all evening. Great hustle to save that one. Wow.
Making life difficult for Tommy Kuhse.
That's a great matchup.
Kuhse, a 6-year senior. Bairstow's pass is tipped.
Look at this switch on the shooter. Now back off of Kuzi because he's going to try to penetrate.
Barcelona's pulls. Another three's off. 0 for 11 from three-point range for St. Mary's.
I'll tell you what, Ryland Jones is going to need some tape and Band-Aids at halftime, man. That guy is all over the place. The miss. Dives for it. Man, did he hit his shoulder on that cement?
Yeah, that's that concrete, that cement, part of the steps.
I'll tell you what, Coach Odom is going to have to put all kinds of different things around the court. So this guy's got another year. He doesn't want him getting hurt on those plays.
Nice toss back in for St. Mary's, occupying the post. Senses double. Barcelona's pulls. 0 for 11, make it 12 for St. Mary's from three-point range.
Smart play by Toss. Had a small man on him. Idle Rock was guarding him, took advantage of it.
4 points for Toss, and Utah State calls the timeout. 20 seconds left for the last possession. We'll have the rest of the first half from Logan up next. St. Mary's, strong defensive team. Still trailing this first half by 4. Randy Bennett, 21 years as the St. Mary's head coach. 3-time West Coast Conference Coach of the Year. Has built a program that's amongst the nation's best in Moraga, California.
Yeah, and you know, the 14, you mentioned it before, the 7 NCAAs and the 7 NITs, and he's just been fantastic. And when they get to the NCAA tournament, which they do often enough, they are feared by teams because usually they're a seed, you know, 11, 12, something like that. And one year they won 30 games and didn't make the NCAA. They went to the NIT instead.
On that big run in 2010. Last possession of the first. Jones slips, keeps the feet. Corner, Horvath. And Bean's tip is off. That does it for a low-scoring first half here in Logan. Utah State, St. Mary's, 2 mid-major programs that have had perennial success over the last few years. The end of the first half with the score 20-16. Utah State with the lead. After the break, we'll send you to Brent Stover and John Rothstein in New York with AT&T at the half. You're watching college basketball on CBS Sports Network, 24-hour home of CBS Sports.